The Jag Empire by Anton Alekhine and Jacques Goulet. Originally, the Jag people were solely relegated to the bottom half of Florida, but starting in the 1300s, Emperor Antonio Nalquin wanted more land and power, and being a coastal empire, they boasted a strong navy. So he started conquering other people on other islands, establishing colonies across the Caribbean, and pushing far northward into northern Florida and the surrounding territory with their highly trained army. The constant and chaotic expansion and collapsing of borders started in the 1300s and lasted until the 1400s, when conquest slowed and the borders started to become official political boundaries. Two statues of the great emperors Antonio Nalquin and Nat Goblet tower above the capital city. In Cuba, there is a famous structure called the Leaning Tower of Havana, used as a symbol of peace between the Jags and the Cubans, pictured in the slide. Education is essential to Jags, and citizens starting from the age of 6 are required to take 10 years of public schooling, in which they learn the official language, Jog, as well as math, science, art, and English. In the 20th century, the empire became famous for their underwater train tunnels between the mainland and the surrounding islands. The empire was praised for its architectural wonder and has inspired many underwater tunnels in other countries. Frequent trading partners of the empire include Mexico, Venezuela, and the United States of America. They import cotton, some oil, vegetables, automobiles, and electronics. Famous exports include seafood, citrus products, sugar, coffee, and tobacco. These luxury crops led to its steady rise as a powerful player in the global economy. The empire is a free market economy in which businesses are allowed to set the prices of products, not the government. Those who live in mainland Florida live extravagantly and in great luxury. In the Jag-owned islands, racial discrimination against the indigenous people is still rooted in some traditionalist minds. Women are allowed to own property and vote. However, in the distant parts of the empire, some women are still treated unequally. As a whole, however, the Jag Empire was rather fair in their dealing with human rights. But with the onset of the Industrial Revolution and globalization, those living in the rural areas of the empire have become more and more isolated from the rest of the empire and of the world. The great Emperor Antonio Nalquin conquered and united many of the islands and territories of the Jag Empire. With his vast military knowledge and kind but strict rule from 1307 to 1344. At the peak of his conquest, the territory of the empire stretched from Alabama down to the top of South America. However, his successor, Nat Goblet, was not as good of a military leader and focused more on domestic affairs. As a result, some of the outer territory was lost due to an absence of governance. However, Goblet inspired great movements in the arts, learning, architecture, and education. Many of Jag's greatest works of art and architecture originated during the time of Goblet's rule. Currently, most of government activity happens in the capital, Miami. The emperor has taken on more of a symbolic role, playing a minor part in actual politics. The empire is a representative democracy made up of two houses, a House of Representatives and a House of Lords. Each works together to make laws. The House of Representatives has 400 people, and the House of Lords has 100 people. The Prime Minister is the official leader of the state, elected every 4 years by the popular vote. The federal government allows each individual island enough power to govern themselves efficiently. Through the spreading of citrus and sugar throughout the world, the Jag became famous for the birthplace of many types of sweet and delectable desserts, as well as for their coffee. Many tourists come every year just to sample the Jag style of food that was popularized by media. Militarily, many famous naval admirals hail from the Jag Empire, and their tactics were used throughout the ages in naval conflicts. The empire is also famous for its architecture and arts, especially those during their golden age. The most important main issues facing the Jag Empire are human rights and ocean laws. Discrimination against indigenous people and women was a pressing issue to many people internally and externally. However, as the empire developed along with the rest of the world, rights towards indigenous people and women began developing as well, due to the demand for rights from everyone. The Jag Empire is also very protective of their waters, being a mainly naval civilization. Jag has always contested Mexico for ownership of much of the Gulf of Mexico, causing frequent tension between the two states. However, in 1990, an agreement was signed, splitting the Gulf in half, one for each state, as well as all the oil and mineral rights underneath.